In the 70s, when I said I wanted to get into movies, all the producers and directors and studio executives and agents were saying to me, it's never going to happen.
Do you ever look back at the leading men of the 70s? And like I was watching Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, two biggest stars in the world, Redford and Newman. You watch any of these guys, and back to the Cary Grant story, nobody was particularly fit. They were lean, but nobody, you guys started it. You started that whole thing. I mean, now you can't be in a Marvel movie unless you're ginormous.
Well, there were some guys that were really in good shape, but not very muscular. But I mean, Charlton Heston was always in good shape. Yul Brynner was always in good shape.
And what's his
Charles Bronson.
Kirk Douglas.
Kirk Douglas was in great shape.
Right, yeah,
When I worked with Kirk Douglas in the movie The Villain, with Anne Margaret and Kirk Douglas, he invited me over to his hotel room. His room was kind of like two floors down from my hotel room. And he says, I want you to show me exactly how to do it the right way. I said, to do what the right way? And he bends down and he rolls out from underneath the bed dumbbells. Son of a bitch had dumbbells under his bed. He rolls them out and he starts curling. He says, you wrote in one of the articles that you're turning the wrist when you curl, that this has more effect on the bicep. He was having biceps and he was trying to do the curl the right way. It was like fantastic to talk bodybuilding talk with Kirk Douglas. So there were several guys like that. Clint was always working out. But what happened, what was different then was that those guys were working out secretly. Because I remember Clint saying to me way back when, he says, I have the Universal Machine, and Harold Zinken, who created the Universal Machines, he gave me the machines and I have it in my house, and so no one knows that I'm working out. I said, is this a secret? Nah, he says, it's always better when you say, I was born like that.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what Robert Mitchum, all those guys that they wanted to look like they were born like that. They had this perfect V-shaped body. And only then when Pumping Iron became a huge smash and this international phenomenon and became kind of like the #1 documentary in the 70s, only when that kind of made bodybuilding explode, and all of a sudden, bodybuilding became fashionable. Only then, those guys all started working out officially. And all of a sudden you saw...
Why was there a stigma, do you think?
It was just, I think, times change, that today people want to know that a star works out. They want to know what exercises The Rock does. They want to know how many times I go to the gym, how many times do I work out, what does my workout look like, and all this kind of... They want to know the details, how does Slag get ready for a movie. They get fascinated by that. And so it became kind of very fashionable that you had to look visually like a hero. So muscles were required. That's when then there was the explosion in the 80s of people like Stallone, myself, Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren. All of those guys all of a sudden became big stars and were leading men in the movies. The funny thing about it is, in the 70s, when I said I wanted to get into movies, all the producers and directors and studio executives and agents were saying to me, it's never going to happen. And one of the 3 reasons was that my body was too big. They said to me, look at the stars today.
De Niro.
There's Dustin Hoffman, Al Pacino, De Niro, Woody Allen. Those are the sex symbols. People don't want to see big muscles. You're 100 pounds too heavy. Forget it. And sure enough, 5 years later, all of the things that they said, those naysayers that I never paid attention to, which is one of the rules in my book, Be Useful, is never pay attention to the naysayers. Don't listen to them. Because they always would say it's impossible. And I believe what Nelson Mandela said, that everything is always impossible until someone does it. So it doesn't mean that someone didn't do it before me, even though there were Hercules movies and there were muscle movies, but they felt kind of those movies are out and they will never come back. And sure enough, they didn't expect the Pumping Iron would be such a big smash, and that a guy like Bob Rafelson would do a movie called Stay Hungry with a leading man being a bodybuilder. Yes, I had to trim down. Yes, I had to lose weight, but I didn't have to go down to 150 pounds like Robert De Niro was.
Right.
I went down to 210 pounds, and still was muscular, so because it was a competitive bodybuilder that I played. And then with that, doubling up with Pumping Iron, and then Streets of San Francisco, where I played a bodybuilder. And then in The Villain with Kirk Douglas, I played the handsome stranger.
Always a good
The
line.
handsome stranger with the powder blue outfit, Western outfit and all that stuff. But then after that was Conan the Barbarian. Oh yeah, now then I did the Jane Mansfield story, where I played Mickey Haggiday. So they dusted that script off, and they said, wait a minute, Schnitzel is around, here's muscles, we can have him play Mickey Haggiday, because Mickey Haggiday was Mr. Universe.
Yeah,
He was
sure.
this Hungarian bodybuilder, so he had an accent, so I was perfect for that. The bottom line is that when they said, it's not gonna work, you getting in the movies, and especially not being a leading man, they said it was because of your accent. They said that the German accent is scary for most Americans. It reminds them of the Nazis, and so yes, you could play a Nazi officer or something like that. That would be fine. But other than that, you would not get away with it. Then they said the body was too big, and then they said that no one would be able to pronounce Schnitzel or something like that. So yeah, they were laughing at my name, and they said, so there's the three things why it would not work. And then sure enough, I come out with Conan the Barbarian, and John Milius, the director, famous director, right?
An amazing writer.
Yeah, the amazing writer. So he said to the press, if we wouldn't have had Schwarzenegger, we would have had to build one. So now he establishes, if I wouldn't have had that body, he couldn't have done the movie, and he would have never been able to direct a movie like that.